I'm In with the ARCC is brought to you by StoredTech, your technology, our passion. And now here's your host for I'm In with the ARCC, Amanda Blanton.
Welcome to I'm In with the ARCC. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Amanda Blanton, Vice President, Marketing and Communications for the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce. And today my guest is Tom Macchia. Am I pronouncing that right?
You are.
Thank you, Tom. I should have asked you that before the show, and I usually do, but
It's fine. It's always a fun question.
Right. So, Tom Macchia, President of Technology Navigators. Welcome to the show, Tom. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys joined the Chamber relatively recently.
I would say beginning of the year, maybe the fall last year.
And where does the time go? Right.
Yes, way too fast. Way too fast.
So I'm very excited to have you on the show today to learn more about what you guys do, how you help people in small to mid-sized businesses with their technology needs. So before we get into like what you're actually doing, I always love to hear the story behind a business, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the story?
I worked at an MSP, which is an outsourced IT provider. For those who don't know, it's a managed service provider, which is basically just outsourced IT, a bunch of years ago. And I met John there, my business partner there.
Yeah.
And we formed a bond and a relationship. We worked in a department that was, for client management, technical account management, things like that, right? And what we noticed in that particular company, and then getting to know the industry, a lot of companies where these outsourced IT providers, as good as they are, that's a gap for them. The client management, the technical account management, and the strategic oversight. A lot of companies in that realm falter, right?
Yeah.
It's a gap for them. They don't do it well. So John and I, over time, discussed this a bunch of times, and I eventually left that company for another job, and we continued to have conversations. We felt that that's a niche right there. There's a need in the industry there where these companies who have these providers, or in general, lack strategic leadership and oversight, whether it's from an outsourced IT or it's internal, or they don't have anyone.
Sure.
They don't have a strategy. They don't have anyone road mapping them to the future to help them become a leader in their industry. So that's why we started Technology Navigators, and we kind of evolved from there.
Wow. And how long has Technology Navigators been in business?
About 5 years.
Okay. So new, but not too new.
Right. New enough to feel like we don't know anything still.
Right. But the two of you have that technology background. So like you said, you're kind of bridging a gap here.
Yeah, ton of experience.
Yeah.
And John has even more experience than I do. Just, probably 35, 40 years of combined experience across the gamut of everything IT, which we can bring to the table.
That's wonderful. And in your journey to starting a business, first of all, is this your first business that you've started?
It is mine.
Yes.
My first business,
okay.
Yes.
I always love speaking to entrepreneurs and small business owners because not only do they all have a story, but they all have a reason, and sometimes it's a journey, right?
Yeah, that's so true. And for me, it had to be close to 20 years that I wanted to do this. Even as like a younger kid, I would do like websites for people, and I would do, all these things. I always find a gap wherever I was working, like what's the gap of this customer base? And I would try to productize it and make it. I just couldn't put it all together. And what I realized was, and I always thought about doing it on my own.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I'll just do it on my own.
Right.
And then there's a couple of conversations with John. I just felt like this is it. This is the way to go.
This is the fit.
Partner up, and it was the best decision I ever made, right? It was
That's
having
incredible.
a partner like him, and he's a perfect compliment to me and how I am and my personality and how we work and how we present ourselves to the world.
Yeah.
It's the perfect marriage, so to speak, of two people who like really want to make things work. So that's how it happened. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I wanted to do forever. And I wake up every day, and you have stress and you have challenges owning a business, right? Things that we always talk about, but for me, I feel like I'm living out a dream to have a business, right? And to be out there and to also serve people and help them improve their lives and their businesses, right? Which is really important.
That's incredible. And you have to love what you do, right?
You have to.
We talk about it all the time.
You have to. I recommend it for everybody. Everyone should have a business.
Yeah.
Everybody should work towards that one.
Absolutely. And I love that, you and John built this business over years, and it took time, and you took that time and care, right? You didn't just say, let's just do this. Or,
No.
or like you said, I'll just do this. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is too, which we don't brag about it, but
Yeah.
we always look at it like we didn't walk away from a job with a Rolodex or a bunch of people to call and
Yeah.
starting clients. We had to start from scratch.
Oh, wow.
Without,
Okay.
you of course there's some people you can try to talk to, but it wasn't like you walk away with 10 new clients right,
Right.
away from your job. We had none of that. It was
Wow.
all like literally from the ground up. So
Sure.
something we're super proud of.
Absolutely.
But that's
a
part of
success
the
story.
struggle. Yeah. part of the struggle.
Well, congrats on that.
you. Yeah,
That's great
thank
to
you.
hear. We love hearing it. All right. Well, let's get into the meat here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, for anyone listening, why is it important to have an IT strategy? And what is an IT strategy, really?
Good, great question.
Yeah.
All right. So how can I frame this without taking up the rest of this time? So I think, you have a sales strategy in a
Sure.
business, right? Operations strategy, things like that. But people don't think about the technology strategy, right? So
Yeah.
it's like we want to do, $5 million next year, right? Or we want to close this much business next month, this quarter. Well, what's going to support that? Do you have the technology, the programs in place to be able to serve that new client base and current client base,
Sure.
right? What is what's your, the main application that you're running on? Is that up to date? Does that support what you do? What about your infrastructure on the back end, your
Yeah.
network infrastructure? Or are you on the right cloud platform with email and collaboration, right? How are you
Yeah.
collaborating with each other? All these things need to be a part of that plan to be able to deal with the scaling up of that business. So that's what, to us, strategy is in a nutshell, right? And if
Sure.
you don't have that, you're going to end up with tech debt, right? You're going to have all this new business or extra business, and your technology can't keep up with it, right?
Right.
You're going to hit a roadblock. You're going to have issues there.
And let's face it, there's a lot of small to mid-sized business owners or executives or leadership teams that may not have the time to think about an IT strategy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or the knowledge. So like you said, they could have technology running their business that they think is up to date and running at its
Right.
peak, and it's not.
Right.
It's not working for them and their business.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, I think it's important
And
to have
that's where-
someone take a look.
And that's where we come in.
Yeah.
Is you can, as a business leader or owner, you can continue to focus on that piece.
Yeah.
We come in to handle that for you.
Sure.
So you don't have to take your day at a time and go and sit and do it. We'll do
Right.
it for you. And we'll bring you the information. Here's what you need to do. Here's what it's going to cost. How
That's
long it's going to
great.
take. Yes or no, and we just go and do it, and they can focus on growing the business.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
What a relief too for
That's
them,
it. That's the
right?
goal.
Like, because I sweat just thinking about finances, right? Technology, all the
Also,
things.
It's kind of boring, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, we love it because we're in it. We're very passionate
Right,
about it, but
right.
it's boring, and they don't want to deal with that.
Sure,
They didn't get into
sure.
business to deal with the tech stuff.
Exactly.
So-
So that really is your niche as far as your client base goes, are small to mid-sized
Correct.
businesses.
Right.
The people that really need it, right?
Exactly.
The people who don't have a tech department or
Right.
even an individual.
Leadership. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And what ways do you usually help people with their IT strategy? Like, how does that process work?
Sure. So once we're engaged with the client, right, and it's not rocket science, right? It's 3 steps, we call it. The first is identify, right? So we will identify the inefficiencies, the roadblocks, the gaps, the risks,
Okay.
right? Moving on to the second step, we take all of that all those findings, and we put it into a roadmap, right?
Okay.
How long? Right? How long is it going to take? How and when are we going to do this? How long is it going to take? And how much is it going to cost?
Sure.
Right? And then step 3 is committing to
Yeah.
and executing that roadmap, which we stay on with the client to do it.
Okay.
We hold their hand and we make sure we have their back through that whole process, right?
Awesome.
Because you end up bringing in some specialists to do some of these things, but where they're making sure that, okay, it's on time, it's on budget,
Yeah.
it's right for you.
Oh, that's
right?
great.
So that's what we do there. But going back to, let's say, identifying, right? So what are we looking at
Yeah.
specifically? We take a holistic approach. It's everything that technology touches that we look at.
Okay.
Right? It's our auditing process that we do. Again, not rocket science, but it's a little customized based on what the client industry is.
Right.
But we're looking at, obviously, cybersecurity is a big one, and no one wants to deal with it. But big thing there, because you have to look at protecting not only your data, but your reputation. If you get
Oh, yeah.
hacked or have a breach, clients may not want to deal with you, right? They say,
Sure.
Don't work with them because, they lost customer data.
Right, right.
So that's one thing we try to really preach to business owners there. But besides cybersecurity, we're looking at your back end network infrastructure. If you have an office, we're
Yeah.
looking at your cloud environment there. We're looking at Oh, I mean, so many things. Everything.
Right,
Basically
right.
everything.
Or see if there's any holes, right? Is
Well,
there
that's-
something missing?
That's what it comes down to. And then the
Yeah.
other big thing is potential for cost savings, right? Especially with, there's a lot of waste we find with licensing for all their major programs.
Oh,
Right? When you think of
interesting.
like Google Workspace, Office 365, they've
Yep.
got, they might have 100 people, but they have 200 licenses or 150
Right.
licenses. So we always find ways to, for potential cost savings, as well as like the internet providers, things like
That's
that. too.
incredible.
So it's really everything that touches technology, and it's a full audit. We examine every piece of it. It goes into a report with a scoring
Okay.
for each category,
Yeah.
which then rolls up to your major score. Right?
Okay.
And the report also shows for like the executive looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
all right, what do I need to do? The first page literally is like, here are the 5, 10, 15 things you need to do.
Sure.
And here's how much you'll improve that section of the audit if you do these things.
Okay.
So it's a clear understanding, right?
Yeah.
And then that moves into the roadmap.
Okay.
Right? And it could be a 6-month roadmap, a 9-month, or 12-month roadmap. So
Sure.
it's like these 10 things, we'll have to do it over 6 months, right?
Okay.
Let's say. And it's going to cost about this much. And we've been in the business long enough where we know pretty well how much things are supposed to cost. So by
Okay.
the end of that step 2, the client knows how long it's going to take,
Yep.
what needs to be done, and then basically how much is it going to cost. So they
Right.
have a clear understanding of those 3, most important things, so
Sure.
that they can sign off and execute on that plan.
Full transparency. Love that.
And the goal for us is to, again, eliminate their roadblocks,
Mm-hmm.
get rid of efficiency so that they can go back to growing the business and become a leader in their industry.
Wonderful.
That's the outcome that we sell, and that's the outcome that we produce for people.
Yeah, that's great. And again, giving that peace of mind to these leaders, these executives, these business owners, like, we got this.
That's it.
We're going to tell you what you need to do,
Right.
how much it's going to cost,
Right.
how you need to do it,
Right.
all the things.
And you don't have to put 10, 20 hours a week over
Right.
the next 6 months or a year, whatever it is,
Sure.
to do it. We're here doing it
Sure.
for you.
And you could potentially find them cost savings. That's
Absolutely.
incredible.
That's always a part of it. That
Yeah.
happens naturally. And
Yeah.
again, it's like our service might pay for itself at that point because
Sure.
we're saving them so much money. And it's
Yeah.
happened in the past.
I mean, I think of even just on a personal level, everything's a subscription now, right? And sometimes if you're not auditing yourself, you could be subscribed to things you don't even realize you're paying for because you're not monitoring your bank account, right?
That's right.
So if I could have somebody come in and do that for me personally too, that'd be great. But that's what you're doing for businesses essentially.
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
top
and
of
that's
that.
part of the
Yeah.
audit is looking at all your
Yeah.
invoices that are related to technology.
Right.
We comb through them.
Could we save you money? Right. Oh God, I don't know one business owner that wouldn't enjoy
right.
that.
At the very least, we can
Yeah.
save people money. And if that's the only scope that they want, we
Exactly.
can do, which does happen sometimes too.
Yeah, of
It's,
course.
but there's always waste out there that people don't realize, and
Right.
we always find it.
Fascinating. And now let me ask you this. So you've gotten through the process with them. You've given them their strategy. They know what steps to take. They're on their way. The process is over. Or is it? Is there a revisit? Do these strategies evolve over time? Do you come back to these clients and say, hey, can we take another look? How does that work?
Great question. So what we'd like to do, if we can, is measure before and after. So it's really important.
Ooh,
right?
okay.
'Cause we want those metrics. Right?
Yeah, of course.
So we can come back to them and show them, again, another piece of our final values. Like, look, you were, spending 30% more. Your efficiency was terrible. Now look at it. You're doing something 30% better, right? Whatever we can
Right.
try to measure, try to find those quantifiable measurements
Yep.
that we can take before and then after.
Yeah.
So that they can see it. Because again, as a business owner, it's the numbers that they want to see.
Sure.
Proof isn't the pudding. What did I actually improve? Again, maybe it's sale. Hey, we did 25% more this year than last year, or this quarter over last quarter, 50%, whatever it is, right? That's what we want. We also want it for our case studies, of course.
Yeah.
Right, as social proof and all that stuff.
Of course.
But a lot of times, what happens is, let's say it's a 9-month, initial roadmap contract.
Mm-hmm.
We end up 9 out of 10 times staying with them way past that because they like having us around.
Yeah.
They like just keeping us on so they can bounce stuff off of us. And
Yeah.
then a lot of times it's like, wow, we made it. Okay, we made it to the next level.
Sure.
Now they have an idea of another piece of the industry they want to get into, another avenue.
Yeah.
So now the next planning comes into, okay, so what do we need to do technology-wise to attack that avenue? What do
Right.
we need to put in place? Do we have everything, or should we add something else? And that's where
Sure.
we come back in again.
Especially if a
So-
business is experiencing exponential growth,
Right.
right? You guys need to come back in.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
one and done type of people. We
Okay.
want to grow with the client
Great.
forever, obviously,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we want to be with them. We love to see them go from A to B or A to Z.
Sure.
That's what we're passionate about. Is to to say, you started here, you had all these issues or goals. Maybe you don't have a lot of issues. That some companies are fine.
Yep.
But they're just looking to do something a little bit better, and
Right.
that's what we come in and do it. But we love to stay with them. We love to grow with people, and that's how we set our whole program up.
Wonderful. You guys essentially become a trusted partner and a resource.
That's what's on. That is actually on our website, right? It's to be
Yeah.
that resource for you, right? To be that person you can go to and bounce things off of, even after we're done. Even if it's not part of the initial scope that
Sure.
we're hired for, we're there for everything else.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's something that we tout as part of our services.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we do have to take a quick break, but we will be right back on I'm In with the ARCC.
Hi, my name is David Cohen. As a project engineer at StoreTech, I focus on upgrading and improving technology that businesses rely on to be efficient and eliminate boundaries to productivity. What's different about StoreTech is the dedication to their customers and down-to-earth approach to IT. Our only agenda is to make life easier for you and your employees and allow you to focus on what's important. It's a true pleasure to be a part of StoreTech. I leave work with a real sense of pride knowing I'm part of such a wonderful team of enthusiastic people with unmatched knowledge and experience. Call us today at 518-793-1111 and see how our team can elevate your business to the next level.
And now, back to I'm In with the ARCC. Here's your host, Amanda Blanton.
And we're back. Thanks again for listening to I'm In with the ARCC, sponsored by StoreTech, your technology, our passion. And I'm here with Tom Macchia, President of Technology Navigators. Thanks for giving us the story behind the business and truly what you guys do, the whole process. I feel like if I was a business owner, I'd be like banging down your door, like, come on in, audit us.
Yeah, please
no
do.
one ever asks for an audit, right?
No,
but this
no,
is different.
exactly.
This is different.
Yeah, and we call it audit, but we should call it maybe an assessment instead. I mean, we can bounce
Sure.
different words around
Yeah.
because audit seems really serious, like the IRS is coming at you. It's like it's more of an assessment. We actually call it a technology assessment. Right?
Okay,
Keep it as simple,
perfect.
but we are auditing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The depth of what we're looking at
but
is
but
audit.
what
depth.
you're doing is incredible. Again, like, cleaning up processes, inviting new ones in, cost savings, all those
Cost
things.
savings,
So
like that.
yeah, business owners should be banging down your door for this stuff. So let's talk about cybersecurity, everyone's favorite word. We've heard it. Some of us are more educated than others, but in your realm, what are you guys doing with cybersecurity for businesses?
It's a great question. So, again, not rocket science, but
Yeah.
we do very similarly. We can perform audits and
Okay.
assessments
Yep.
on just cybersecurity. Right, we'll just focus on that for
Sure,
a second.
yeah.
Finding those gaps and the risks, right, and then you work to mitigate them. Same kind of 3-step process in a way, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, let's identify the risk and the gaps. Let's give you a plan of what you need to do. Let's roadmap it. Let's execute it. Right?
Sure.
But the difficulty is with people understanding that small medium business is a huge target. There's a statistic out there, and I posted on LinkedIn about it a couple of months ago. That's the target for threat actors, right?
Yeah.
Because they know that especially small business, but small medium businesses don't think they're a target, so they don't put the time, the money, the effort into protection.
Right.
Right.
They're like,
don't
we don't
do
have
it.
a lot of money. What would they want to,
Right.
to threaten us with? Right.
And, and there's base level things that people should be doing, like multi-factor and
Sure.
all that stuff, and email encryption and employee education, all that stuff. But there's so many things beyond that might be industry specific that people need to really think about, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people the biggest threat to any company is an uneducated employee.
Yes.
It's that person that clicks on that phishing email.
Right.
that
Opens
gets
that
them in.
attachment. Right. Yeah.
You can have the best defense, the best firewalls, the best everything, best antivirus, anti-malware, all that, all those staple things.
Yeah.
But if that uneducated employee clicks that email,
Yep.
they're in.
Sure.
They got behind your defenses, right? And there's a ton of
Absolutely.
news stories out there about how they got in. The MGM hack was part of that too, where they got in through a support agent and just did like
crazy.
impersonation how they got in.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest threat is your
Yeah.
uneducated employee. So
Yeah.
at the very least, there's these staple items you need to do, and you need to do employee education. There's a ton of programs out there that are low cost that
Sure.
even if they want to do it on their own, they can. But people need training on what
Absolutely.
to look out for.
Absolutely. And nonprofits, too. That's another group that think they're not invincible, but that why would anyone attack us, right? But they are just
why.
as at
why.
risk. Yeah.
That's why.
Right. Because it's unassuming.
That's it. And there it is. And again, it comes back to protecting your reputation as a business,
Yeah.
right? Because if it's known that you had a data breach, people are less likely going to want to work with you, right? And then also, people look at the cost of it.
Sure.
Right? So it's like insurance. It's like having
Yeah.
a burglar alarm at your house. Some
Right.
people feel like, either they have one, but they don't turn it on, or they don't get one until they get robbed.
Exactly.
And then they go out and
Yes.
get one.
Yeah,
So a lot
yeah.
of companies have never had that experience, feel like I'm out of danger. I'm not going
Right.
to put money into it or put capital into it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you have to think about beyond what the cost is if you had a breach, what that would cost in
Sure.
reputation damage. But what would happen if a potential client, that could be a big client for you, there at some point, if they haven't yet, someone's going to come to you and say, okay, you want to do business with me? How do you protect my data? How do you store it? What do you do? And if you don't have a PDF or a couple of files or something to
Yep.
put back in front of them and say, these are all the protections we have in place, this is how often we test it and prove that it works and all that stuff. If you don't have that, the likelihood of you getting those contracts or those deals,
You could lose that business.
so you have to put the cost of cybersecurity prevention up against loss of business for potential clients
Sure.
and reputation and damaging, your reputation really. So.
100%. And that's an interesting perception of it too, because I understand from the business side how scary and dangerous it could be, but I never thought about it from the potential client or customer of yours from their perspective. Because
Right.
like you said, you want to do business with people you trust,
Right.
right?
Right. And
Especially when it's involved with your
Yeah,
data.
and sometimes you want to work with the big fish, and they're
Right.
protected, but they
Yeah.
want to know if they're going to work with this SMB.
Right.
Are they going? Is my data going to be protected
Yeah.
with them? You need to be able to prove it.
Sure.
Right.
So interesting. Wow. Well, thank you for bringing up that side, because
Yeah,
I've
you have
never
to think
thought
about
about
these
it.
things, right?
Yeah.
You have to think about these things.
Okay. Well, we are down to a few minutes here. Told you to go quick, Tom.
It did.
Goes
It
by
did. Well, I
so
talk too
quick.
much, so I
no,
apologize
no,
for
no.
that.
This show is about you and technology navigators. So, what are some of the advantages to working with technology navigators? I think you kind of touched on it, but some people might be thinking, "Why do I need you guys?" Right?
Right.
What are the advantages?
So I think what makes us unique, again, is that we fit in that niche of IT strategy, strategic leadership. Sometimes we call ourselves the fractional CIOs, right? We come
Okay.
in, right, and we do that. And I think what makes us unique is we play nice with all the other companies in our industry, right? Because
Yeah.
we're in our lane. So
Yep.
you talk about managed service providers, like we don't do IT support.
Right.
So we would actually bring them in to a client who needs better IT support. Right. So that's how we work. We can evaluate their current IT provider and bring in someone better if that's what's needed.
Sure.
Right? So we work really well with them as well.
Yeah.
We also, because we have such a large network of vendors and partners and people that we do business with, when the need, arises for a specialist in a certain thing, right?
Yep.
We're able to bring them in because we trust them. We've worked with them before. And
Yeah.
we know that their reputation is great, and they'll keep our name in good faith as well. And we
Sure.
can bring them in too. So I think with our experience as well, if there's things that aren't necessarily in our wheelhouse, we have such a gigantic network of great people and companies that we can help our client bring it in. Even if it has nothing to do with technology, sometimes
Right,
we can also
yeah.
help out in that way
That's
too.
awesome.
So, yeah, and it's always where, at the very least, you'll always have my partner and I dealing with the client.
That's
right?
great.
Instead of handing you off to someone that doesn't know what they're doing. Stuff
Right.
like that, right. That's a big selling point as well.
That's awesome. Just having that network is amazing,
Yeah.
right? Because not everyone can say that. They can't just pull a name out of their pocket
Right.
and be like, this is the trusted
Right.
resource
And one
for
more
you.
thing I'll add as well is that John and I are very technical people. So all the stuff that we evaluate, assess, audit,
Sure.
Whatever you want to call it, we've done it with our own hands.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We've built networks.
You
We've
have that expertise.
We've done cybersecurity and migrations and
Yep.
all sorts of stuff. We've done it ourselves, so we know how it should be done, how long it should take, and how
Sure.
much it should cost.
Yeah.
Which protects the client from all those things that other people might take advantage of
Yeah.
if they didn't have us.
Right, right.
So that's another thing that
Wonderful.
I wanted to make sure I add in there.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, how can we learn more about technology navigators?
So our website is technav.co. You can call us at 646-582-8313. You can email us at info@technav.co. You can find me on LinkedIn, Tom Macchia, Maccha. You can find us on LinkedIn. Our business page is there as well. I think that's it. I think that's everything.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, that's plenty.
yeah, we're here. We're ready to help everybody.
That's great. Tom, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
coming
having
on
me.
the show and just, explaining what you guys do. It really is a niche you're doing the good work, connecting businesses with those resources and those partners that they need to work with to really get up to speed and be safe out there, right? With your technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Be educated, be safe.
That's it. Awesome. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're so welcome. And that's all the time we have for today on I'm In with the ARCC. Be sure to tune in next week.